Hello, writers. Today we're going to talk about general strategies for capturing reader attention, something we all want to do. This is a workshop by me, Alma Schemenauer. I was born on the Saskatchewan Prairie, grew up there, and sometimes call myself Elma Mary from the Prairie. If you're looking for my website, you can probably find it with those words, or there's the address for it also. Okay, first strategy. Set everything in a specific time and place. Very important to note that nothing happens nowhere. Everything happens somewhere. And so you want to make the readers aware of where that is. The top picture is of something that happened in a battle at sea, I think, or something at sea that happened in Norway. Yeah, it is a battle. I can see the guns in a long time ago. So if that's the setting for your story or article, you would make that pretty clear right from the beginning. The bottom picture is of a futuristic setting that could be used for a science fiction story if you've written something like that. If you don't set the time and place pretty close to the beginning, readers may jump to the wrong conclusions. And then when they find that they're wrong, they could get irritated. They might even quit reading. You don't want them to do that. Here's a good example of setting the story. Actually, this is a true book. It's a history of Bill Miner in Canada, a famous outlaw. Here's the beginning of that book. In that late fall of 1903, a lone rider on a fine horse slowly made his way over the Dewdney Trail between Hope and Princeton. Those are places in British Columbia. The vine maples on the rock slides blazed with scarlet flames, and the poplars beside the creek beds lit up the isolated country with a brilliant yellow flash against the dark green fir. So we know an awful lot from that. We know the year, we know the season, and we know the setting pretty closely. Notice that the author didn't stop with that. He also gave us some appeals to the senses to get us to feel like we're really, really there. Use the colors and the setting that's there, the flash, the contrast in the colors. I think this is very well done. All right. Number 2, don't give too much information or detail too quickly. This can confuse readers. If you think, oh my goodness, there's so much that I have to tell right at the beginning, otherwise people won't know what's going on, and you try to pack it all in. The thing is, if you do that, you pack it in too quickly and too briefly, so readers can't really get a hold of it. You know, they want to feel something. Readers often read for the emotional impact, and they also want to learn something too, but emotional impact is very, very important. And if you don't develop things quickly, if you add things too quickly and don't develop them enough, then that excuse me, that impact is lost. Now here's a bad example. It's actually a really bad example from a good writer, Charles Dickens. The first ray of light which illumines the gloom and converts into dazzling brilliancy that obscurity in which the earlier history of the public career of the immortal Pickwick would appear to be involved is derived from the perusal of the following entry in the Transactions of the Pickwick Club, which the editor of these papers feels the highest pleasure in laying before his readers as a proof of careful attention, indefatigable assiduity, and nice discrimination with which his search among the multifarious documents confided to him has been conducted. Oh dear, oh dear. Well, one thing, it's not written in the style that people use nowadays. People just don't write like that. Readers don't sit still for that kind of writing. But even at that, even given the style, I mean, Charles Dickens' style is quite acceptable in many other places. But this I think is a particularly bad example. He tries to get so much information in so quickly, and he makes it, does it kind of in a very erudite manner, so we think that he's a really learned, smart person, but it's just too much. Okay, maintain forward momentum. Try not to use a flashback in your starter. Sometimes you do have to say, what happened before in order for readers to understand what's happening now in your story or article. But if you do use a flashback, keep it pretty short. Here's an example of moving forward, maintaining forward momentum. Feet flying on the worn bike pedals, Mackenzie turned up into the wooded path away from the gravel street. She had to stand and pedal as the trail climbed a steady grade to the fire break, the thoroughfare to the park-like woods behind the town, where bunchberry flowers glowed like ground stars. Mackenzie consciously slowed her breathing, although her heart was still pounding, as if she had made a mistake. Okay, generally it's best to start with a scene. In fact, I mean by that, in effect, something happening in real time, not something that's happening in people's minds only, but with something that could be seen. A scene. So that often catches people. Start with that or have it pretty close to the beginning, because I think it catches people's attention better. Number 5, it's often wise to ground readers in the protagonist's, main character's viewpoint. In effect, get readers into the protagonist's head and heart, while also involving her and him or him in significant action. Of course, we don't always have just one protagonist, main character. Sometimes we have several at the same time, but it's often wise to ground readers in that person's mind and emotions. Here's a scene at the bottom where the protagonist might be one in this crowd. The crowd is cheering something. And so you could have the person's thoughts at the same time as the person is participating in this cheering. Decide whether to write in the first person, second person, third person, or a combination, and then stick with what you've decided. Readers will expect that once you start like that. First person, that could be I or we stole cookies, like the little boy in the picture. Second person, you stole cookies. Third person, he, she, or they stole cookies. People don't usually write in the second person. Not fiction. Well, it can be done, but it's pretty tricky and not often done. But sometimes they do. If, say, you're given an instruction manual, maybe something like check the oil, then start the motor, that kind of thing, or a recipe, prepare turn on the oven, preheat the oven, that kind of thing. So they're writing in the second person then. We're telling you do this, you do that. But mostly when we're writing, we write in the first person, like I or we, or we write in the third person. But there can be a combination of those, which is pretty tricky. It's hard to write in from different viewpoints, and if you're not sure you're doing it right effectively, maybe it's better to stick with one or the other, first person or third person generally. Establish the tone of the work right close to the beginning. Is it playful? Like this girl in the picture? Is it fanciful? Maybe like this futuristic setting here on the right. Is it scary, like this picture? Is it philosophical, like this person here is thinking about something deep matter relating to the nature of life or something like that? Establish the tone so we know. Establish the pace of the work. And this is how fast does it move along? Does it move quickly, slowly, or somewhere in between? Like these bicyclists there, are they moving quickly, slowly, or somewhere in between? Sometimes a story can be too slow. You don't want that because readers may lose interest. It can be too quick, so readers can't even catch their breath, and so you don't want that either. Usually it's better to be somewhere in between and to establish that at the beginning. Are the chapters long or short or long? There are no real rules about how long chapters can be, but it's usually a good idea to not make them too long, because I think readers get kind of tired, and they they lose their interest. It doesn't lend itself to reading, because often people read a chapter or two at a time, and then they like to think, well, okay, I finished that one, and next time I come back to this book, I'll go into the next chapter. So, and the chapters don't always have to be the same length. If, say, you have a very short chapter, the next one can be longer. There are no real rules about that. As you continue writing, you may realize you haven't started in the best place. Say you're going to, you're writing something about a great race that's going to take place. So then maybe you start with the people arriving in the city near where this place is going to, a race is going to happen. And you talk about them checking into the hotel and what luggage they have and what their clothes are like, and how they relate to each other. And then one of the participants' parents arrive, and then you have that. And actually, you know, that might not be all that interesting to your readers. You don't maybe need all that preparation. It might be better to start closer. You could be right at the scene of where the race is going to start. You could start there, and that might be better. And if you need some of that other information, like where they stayed and what they wore, that you can fill that in later as you go along. Okay, possibility. Find works like yours. If, say, you're writing an article about clouds, find some works like yours, not exactly about that, but works about natural phenomena or scientific matters and so forth, and read the first few sentences of each. And can you use some of those as springboards for your own starter? Of course, this would go for science fiction too, or other kinds of fiction. You find works like yours and see if you can use some of those. And you, of course, you won't copy them. You won't do exactly what other people did, but you may get some ideas from them. A good idea is to look at books of articles or books of short stories, books of essays, that kind of thing. And because you get collected things, because you get a lot of information there quickly, you get a lot of starters. There's, like, say, in a book of 30 short stories, you get 30 starters, and some of them may give you good ideas for sure. All right, now it's your turn. Write a story or article keeping the following strategies in mind. 1, set everything in a specific time and place. 2, don't give too much information or detail too quickly. Number 3, maintain forward momentum. Try not to use a flashback. And if you do, keep it short. Number 4, it's generally best to start with a scene, in effect, something happening in real time. 5, consider grounding readers in the main character's viewpoint while involving her or him in significant action. 6, decide whether you'll write in first, second, or third person, and generally stick with that then once you decide. 7, establish the tone of the work. 8, establish the pace of the work. How fast does it move along? How quickly does it move along? Now, 9, if you haven't started in the right place, try others. 10, reading the beginnings of similar works may give you ideas. Okay, this has been a talk by me, Elma Schemenauer. I have my website address at the top there, my YouTube channel on the right there, and my blog. I have a blog also. All of these are containing stories, or well, reviews, little stories about publishing, information, general information, opportunities for getting published, all that kind of thing you can find on these various sites. Okay, thank you very much for listening.